Eric, you have a dart in your neck.
I like you. You're crazy.
Wait, why doesn't it go on Eric's like that?
I don't know how to put it.
What if we can't remove this filter?
I don't know if you guys hear yourself, but it sounds so good to me.
It probably sounds better to you. I can't even talk. I can still kind of hear my own voice, but you probably just only hear this.
All right, turn it off. I'm done. That's too good. Oh god,
Okay.
now it just sounds lame.
Wait, what were we doing? We're recording a podcast.
I like you, man.
I like you. All right, so how are we gonna tackle this? I think it'd be good if we intro your wedding week and
You want to intro the wedding body?
yeah, and just talk about in your personal journey to actually fitting in your suit, and then we can go from there.
Sure.
By the way, what's your weight at right now?
Up since I arrived at my mother's house.
Oh God, dude, you're supposed to. You need a 1.5 handle in order to fit into the suit. I thought you said you had millimeters of.
You're pretty familiar with how mom diet affects things.
Oh God, I'm the one who goes home to my mom that cooks Filipino food.
Yeah,
and it just
I
stuffs
go
me.
home to my
Non-stop
mom who
lumpia.
cooks Italian
Come on
food,
now.
right?
There's nothing you can do.
Should have a food off.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's roll into it. So today we're going to talk a little nutrition and health. We're by no means nutrition and health experts, as people humbly speaking from a podcast in which the hosts drink heavily. Especially
I'm drunk every episode. I'm drunk every Wednesday.
Especially in the life episode. But I think it's good to talk about it and kind of maybe share our own little personal journeys that we're on right now. Like, what are you trying out right now? And we opportunistically have Eric, who's getting married next week. And typically when people get married, they get into their best selves.
Yeah.
And
I just feel like people are just so tired of listening to these podcasts where like experts are telling them like good advice, and they really want to hear what like three guys have done by trial and error for the last like 20 years. And
maybe they just let them listen to Andrew Huberman instead.
Or maybe they don't.
Like, is
But we're going to find
part
out.
of your plan, or
So Eric is,
I think this is the funny part about our episode here is that like this is not the Bible of how to like be nutritious. It's like how to balance. I think this is how like balance nutrition within a framework of still hanging out with your buddies and like doing fun shit. Like I think that's the ideal.
I mean, I did this selfishly because Nick, even though he's kind of like LARPing as like a normie, is like the most in shape guy I've ever seen in my life. So I'm just trying to download his routine.
my Muay Thai trainer says I'm 20 pounds overweight, so take it up with him.
He just
Yeah,
holds you to
I
a high
actually think
standard.
like we're all pretty athletic and pretty advanced individuals.
I mean, you are a specimen, if I may say so myself.
thanks.
Well, this guy, so I've known him since college. So this guy just has a 6-pack waiting in the wings anytime he wants. I mean, he's literally joked about it. He's like, well, I can get a 6-pack by 2 weeks from now. I'm like, what? And then like he'll show up with a 6-pack 2 weeks later, just like trims the diet about 10 calories a day, and they just show up.
I've literally never not had a 6-pack in my life.
They're genetics, brother. Those are genetic gifts that were bestowed upon you.
All right, so Eric doesn't have to do anything, and he has a 6-pack. It's great content, very actionable.
There's your alfalfa.
What are you currently doing for your wedding? I want to know.
California burritos.
Are you on a wedding diet?
I am. So I'm on my first diet of my entire life, and you know what, guys? Like, it doesn't even matter where you're like. Bottom line is diets work. Like, where you start from and where you go to, the diet will take you from there to there. Like, I didn't realize that a diet had to be like. I thought you had to be like this fat piece of shit, and then you had to like turn into some like skinny piece of shit. Like, no, diets are for literally anybody.
This is like the most unique perspective on diets I've ever heard. because he's a guy who's never had a diet before. He's like, have you guys heard of this thing called a diet before? Like you just kind of like come with a plan.
What kind of diet are you on?
Okay, so I can explain the diet. It's like a full algorithm. Nick would love this. It's like full of data.
Let's talk.
But I think like the key for me is that I'm learning that in as the years progress, like I'm what am I 37 years old. Like you gotta monitor the intake. That's where I'm at. Like I think I played sports my whole life, and like I still play sports, but like, man, you gotta really start to monitor the intake as you get older, and that's where I'm at. I'm monitoring the intake, and I'm monitoring the macros, the allocations within that intake. So if I eat 1,900 calories a day, I'm gonna make sure the majority of those calories are protein. That's where I'm at.
So you think the bulk of the diet alpha is just in the calorie restriction, or do you think there's more to it?
Yeah, there has to be some calorie restriction involved in this diet if you actually lost weight, right? That has to be.
So, like, as a guy who's like completely new to dieting, I think I went into the Twitter comments. Like I didn't go to the tweet. Like I went into the comments of the tweet, and that's where I'm getting my alpha from. Like I don't know if this is good, but
well, we'll tell if you could fit into your suit on wedding day. That'll be the ultimate test.
In the comments of whatever tweet I read, some guy said, like how much you eat determines your size, and how you move your body determines your shape. And like that simple framework stuck with me. And, that was from the Twitter comments. I have no idea.
So are you counting calories, or are you just consuming enough protein that's like satiating enough that you find yourself at a caloric deficit because you're just eating more protein than normal, or are you actually counting up the calories at the end of the day?
No, I think the biggest alpha for me was when my buddy Andrew Burns, who's like fully dialed in. He's like studied under Andrew Huberman. He told me, he's like, you better plug every single thing that you put in your body into MyFitnessPal, and you tell me exactly what you're eating. And I did that for 30 days. I literally put every single thing that went into my body into MyFitnessPal for 30 days. And I was shocked by sort of like what that looked like, because I thought I was like, even like a protein shake. I was eating like a protein shake that I thought was like skim milk, protein powder, a banana, and like maybe like peanuts. And I was like, oh, well, this is a protein shake. And it turned out that's like a carb shake. So right. I think like at the end of the day, it's like, you got to understand what the macros look like. And Burns told me, he's like, I even have the algorithm. You would love to see it, Nick.
Yeah, I want to see your data. Amazing. Like, so did you only do 30 days because that's all you kind of really needed to know where roughly your calories ended up for the day, is like kind of to teach yourself, and then you're like, okay, I kind of get it, which foods I should avoid, which ones I should stick with. Is that why you only stuck with the 30 days?
Yeah, shout out to David Hoffman too, because it was like right around the time that he left San Diego that we were, I was like in my like thick of it. And David and I were like grabbing drinks, and he was like, dude, I used to do this exact same thing. He's like, I tracked this stuff for like 30 or 60 days. And he's like, but by the end of it, you begin to understand sort of what the caloric intake of everything is. You understand the macro breakdown of things, and you don't have to look it up anymore. Like by the time you've done 30 days like rigorous analysis, like you're good.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it in a second, but I noticed that same thing with the continuous glucose monitor. Like you just need to monitor it from time to time and get a baseline of where you are, and then you know which screws up your system or not. What about activity wise? Like how, because like it's always good to understand like how active people are. Do you work out every day? Do you do some kind of activity every day?
No, I think I've maintained an active lifestyle. Like Nick, you do the Muay Thai. Mm-hmm. Steven and I and Armand will play tennis together. We'll do our own workouts outside of our little podcast crew. I've always just been kind of like an active guy, so I don't actually monitor the burn. It's always just been kind of like something that is a part of my life. So if I can like try to maintain, like, here's my goal. keep it under like 1900 calories intake, my burn is going to be sufficient no matter what.
Dude, you have a Persian fiance who cooks amazing food. How do you avoid the those days where she cooks and it's like, you go into like 3,000 calorie mode?
You know, what's funny? Like so here's where I sort of differ from sort of Andrew Burns, Huberman, whatever. It's like, I don't think that those types of calories, like Persian food looks like rice and stew and meat. Like that type of calorie doesn't affect me. I think my whole body is just like immune to that calorie. Like I just go full abs when I eat that stuff. Like that type of stuff doesn't impact me. It's like I only get impacted when I eat junk. It's like chips, burritos, like shit. And like I don't like sweets. So that's another thing that helps me is I don't have a sweet tooth.
As someone who's from Italian and Filipino descent, I would do a lot to be able to eat pasta and rice without side effects like you can. Like it certainly affects people differently, but like I'm surprised I didn't come out severely overweight as a child with all the like chicken adobo
pasta,
and rice.
I think is different than rice. I think it's like a chemical composition that's different.
So
one has gluten. I mean, I don't give a shit about gluten, but that is a thing.
So Eric's in great shape. He seems to barely care. That's great.
But over under going to fit into the suit.
Okay, so when I got fitted for this suit, I was in the best shape of my life. I mean, this was like college shape. And since I've come out to Wyoming to stay with mom and get like wedding ready, I am like, mom and I, we geek out on snack foods together. Like we've already crushed a couple of salt and vinegar kettle chips. Oof. Party of two. Like I think it's gonna be risky where I land on this suit that was like fitted to my body.
All right, it's gonna be fun to report back when Eric comes in some jeans and a suit
if I can
jacket.
fit in my suit for this wedding, I don't know what you guys are gonna do. I'm gonna like literally ask you like, what do we do?
Oh man. All right.
Yeah, I want to pivot to Nick because he walks around like a robot with his thing stuck in his arm all the time, just like monitoring his caloric intake, his nitrogen levels. I don't know what the hell's going on in there.
All right, so
what is that thing in your arm?
Okay, so it's a continuous glucose monitor.
Wait, show the monitor.
All right, I don't know what camera we're on, but to this camera,
nice flex.
That camera, it's in my left tricep.
So you have to like stick that.
Yeah, it's painless. Like you don't even feel it.
Really?
Yeah. So you just like put some alcohol swabs on it, and then they give you a device, and you just pop it in, and you barely feel it. It's the needle is like this very flexible, micro thin thing that barely pierces like the first epidermis or whatever.
I'm out.
And for that reason, I'm out.
And it allows you to measure your glucose constantly. And it has an app and it uses NFC. So like, I think NFC, is that what it is? I don't want to confuse it with NFTs. It just seems to rhyme.
Let's just go with NFTs.
Yeah.
It uses NFTs.
All right. So anyway, you scan it and you put the phone up to the thing and it just scanned my glucose.
Oh, damn.
And currently at glucose level of 91. And the reason that the glucose monitor is important rather than like, you can also prick your blood if you want to measure ketones or you can measure your blood glucose. But what you're really trying to understand is how your blood glucose moves over time, how it does when you're fasted, how it does when you eat certain foods in particular, and after you eat those certain foods. So you might go to like the doctor and get a one-time blood test and like, your blood glucose was like 95. But that doesn't tell you anything because it was just a snapshot in time. It's kind of like the balance sheet of, financial statements. It's taken on one day and it's not that helpful just with that one statement. Eric, raising your hand.
Well, I have a question in the front row.
Okay. Yes.
What's your goal as you monitor your glucose levels? Like, so you mentioned that like, it doesn't matter what it is in a snapshot, but like what about that is material to you?
So two things is like, what's your, maybe three. What's your average glucose level? Like, what are you just hovering at most of your days? And I'd say like sub 105 is kind of like the standard guideline. I think really you want to be in the 90s is a good. Some of the healthiest friends I know are in the 80s pretty consistently. And then the second thing you want to look at is what's your range. Like you don't want to really go outside that range. And the range that's like the standard guidelines are 70 to 140. And you want to stay within those. And I'd say if you have and again, these are like American diet standards. So like by no means do I think staying under 140 in terms of your glucose measurement is good. So like in the app, I have it from 70 to 120. And so I'm trying to make sure I stay within those. And there's things that could spike your blood glucose, like stress could do it, exercise could do it, but also obviously foods that you may not think would spike your blood sugar. So that's the second thing. And the third is your variability. So particularly like what your blood glucose is and your blood glucose variability have been shown to be predictors of all-cause mortality, but like other things beyond just like your sleep and your mood and your overall health, like cardiovascular death, potentially Alzheimer's, some types of cancer. You don't want glucose roaming around in your bloodstream, wreaking havoc on your cells. They can cause a lot of metabolic issues and wreak havoc on your mitochondria. And so, a lot of where cells start to defect and malform is primarily it can be because of glucose, and those cells can like then tend to grow and maybe turn into things that you don't necessarily want in your body.
Have you done any analysis on puff bar, no puff bar?
Zero impact on glucose.
What
nicotine does not.
Have you done any tests that would be surprising to us?
Let's see. So I've done all the like what are they? They're like these like fake sugar drinks. Like they use some form of
aspartame.
Yeah. And then like most of them.
Oh, I'm glad. Wait, what happens?
Well, I mean, we could pop out a few of you out of your refrigerator and just test them right now. But like most of them spike your blood sugar in some way.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I think just like regular soda water is great, and even like I think the one you have there. I mean, you could check on the back of the can, but like
this is soda water.
Yeah, what's listed in there? Is there any like artificial sweeteners?
No.
Okay, so then that's probably good.
Have you noticed I've heard, for example, that aspartame doesn't spike your blood sugar, but other ones do.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah. You can test them out, and aspartame it has probably the least impact, I'd say.
Thank God.
Out of all of them. So, things like I think like Coke Zero is primarily in that role.
Yeah, I don't drink any of that.
You only grow a second head.
Don't look at my pantry.
I would say like all those like nut milk things. Oh God, they're just garbage. Like oat milk, just like send your blood glucose through the fucking roof.
Do you agree that nut milk is like the biggest scam on the planet?
Well, it depends what you're going for, but like,
are any nut milks not scams? I want your take.
I mean, like, there's two reasons you might drink oat milk: because you're vegan and you don't want it to come from a cow, or you think it's healthier. And in both instances, like, nut milks do worse for the environment than say coming from a cow, and then also they spike your blood sugar more than regular milk, and even like reduced fat milk also spikes your blood sugar.
So wait, like a fat-free milk spikes your blood sugar more than full fat milk?
I haven't drank just whole fat milk on its own, but I have done like an espresso with like a little bit of like full fat milk, and it has like a very little impact. It's a
I feel like non-real milk is a super big scam. Actually, like back in the day when I was actually trying to gain weight and get big, I did the you heard of GoMad?
Mm-mm.
A gallon of milk a day.
Oh God, that sounds terrible.
GoMad.
What the fuck? Why would you?
I love GoMad.
You definitely found this in the Twitter comments.
Unbelievably brutal. I was gonna say it's like way harder than you think it would be, but apparently you think it was. You were like, that sounds terrible, and it was terrible. But
that's not a thing, dude.
Well, no, it is a thing, or it was a thing on the internet. I don't know. GoMad. But another fun fact about me: I'm lactose intolerant. So I was doing GoMad and having just really bad results.
You were going number 3, and you just
and
surpassed going number 1, number 2.
Yeah, and then I don't know. I read
laughing.
You guys don't know about this, but I used to be like on a massive health kick. I used to read about nutrition all the time. I was on a million different diets and experiments with a bunch of stuff.
Well, as soon as you read about it, it just immediately implements in your body without having to
Wait, hold on. Yeah, you just downloaded it? I get it.
Yeah, Matrix download.
but no, in this one book, it was like, well, actually, you have to do this with raw milk.
Okay. But you're lactose intolerant, so that turned out terrible for you.
No, actually, I found that when I was drinking the raw milk, it didn't really bother me.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was drinking a gallon but then the problem was it's like you can't like buy raw milk in California. It's like illegal. I had to get it at like a farmer's market. There's some guy like just a trench coat just dishing out like
I think all U.S.
milk
has to be
me.
pasteurized.
And I feel like that's like kind of a scam. I don't know. Maybe somebody's going to put in the comments like actually 400,000 people a year die from unpasteurized milk and you're spreading death. But that was like an interesting experience for me because I can't drink milk at all, but like I had no problem drinking raw milk and it was kind of good. And I thought maybe I should do this for a while. But then I kind of stopped buying it and I found different ways to gain weight, which is probably
hold on,
good
Steven,
story.
I have a lot of questions because it seems like you went like your style. I know you and your style is to go full bore into anything that you put your mind to. So I know you just like went all in on.
You drink a gallon of milk a day. Of course you did.
So like,
well, I was like 150 or so when I moved to San Diego, and I really wanted to be like 180. So
like a big gap. You want to get jacked. Is that what you're saying? You want to be like jacked.
I think initially I wanted to be just like healthy. You know, I was researching. I did like the paleo diet for a while and keto and just like every diet in the book. And then eventually I decided I wanted to get like big. So then I focused on like
so
diets
that
to get
resonates
big.
with me because when I went to San Diego State, you went to Dartmouth. Like we went to San Diego State. These are different schools. At San Diego State, there's like babes everywhere. Like
that's
I
true.
was
We had
130 pounds when I got to college in freshman year, and I learned immediately. It's like you better get a little bigger, pal.
Like, I think I was 115 when I showed up to freshman year college.
All right. You guys are monsters.
So like I went to the gym freshman year. I started going to the gym, started taking creatine and protein shakes. And then I got bigger, like as you do, like you take these supplements, you get bigger. So I got up to like 185 pounds. But where I'm at now is completely different. And I think it's like, it's cool to talk about the journey. And I want to ask you about your journey. Cause like where my journey is, it's like, I went through this phase where I wanted to be bigger and jacked. And now I'm like, I don't even care about any of that. Like, I just want to be, like, it's weird to say. I just want to be small. I want to be small.
You want to be lean.
I want to like live a long time.
What's that European soccer bod? I respect that.
Maybe that's it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely wanted to be huge at one point in my life for sure. And I was trying to figure out how to get huge. I did all the things you did. I found like creatine was actually super useful. I used to do a ton of creatine. There was a really funny phase I had where I discovered this diet called carb backloading by this guy, John Kiefer. Have you ever seen John Kiefer?
No, but carb backloading sounds fun.
Yeah,
it wouldn't work for me, but it sounds
was
great fun.
Amazing. So John Kiefer is this hilarious guy who is like a physicist, and he kind of like sounds like this. Like, my name is John Kiefer. And if you look at him, it looks like a nerd just got absolutely fucking yoked beyond belief. Like he's just like, he's so big and he's so nerdy at the same time. He like wrote like all these like super overly complicated blog posts and like really long podcasts about like how to get jacked using science. So obviously I ate it all up in my 20s, and it was sort of based around using insulin for muscle growth, but not using insulin when it's bad. Where like, because I guess insulin is it's anabolic, right? So it
like causes systemic growth. It
causes growth, and it can grow fat, but also it could grow muscle, I suppose. And I guess bodybuilders like they do inject insulin and stuff like that. So I guess there's something to it. But basically the idea was to regulate your body so that you had like no insulin responses like all day. So you would like kind of like not eat any carbs or anything like high glycemic at all. And then like you work out and then you just like absolutely dome yourself with like the most high glycemic stuff. Like I would go and I would do a CrossFit workout, and I would walk across the street to Zanzibar Cafe, and I would buy like an entire like chocolate cake.
Oh my god!
And
and so the idea,
like bag of Skittles.
The idea there was like your muscles would absorb all the extra glucose, like pack your muscles full of glycogen, increase glycogen storage, and like you'd have these like big
just go
puffy muscles.
full
muscles.
anabolic. And if you lifted like enough weight and you worked out hard enough, like you wouldn't like put on fat. And he was like, don't you dare eat brown rice. You eat white rice. Don't you dare eat anything even remotely like medium glycemic. You just spike the shit.
Dude, how jacked were you? I want you to share a photo on Discord.
Okay, here's the thing. Like, I actually got pretty big. Like, I got up to like 188, and I was kind of lean the whole time doing it. And I was like, I got a bunch of friends into it who like all did it like kind of badly, but it was like this running meme for a while. Everybody's like, "Oh, I'm backloading." You'd just be hanging around, and somebody would just like order a pizza and eat it. Be like, "I'm backloading," and it was just totally
getting fat. That's what happens for most people when they implement that protocol.
Yeah, I think there's something to the diet. Like if you implement it in a way, I don't know, it could be just absolute bro science. I did get pretty big doing it, and I did get pretty lean while getting big. I didn't like bulk and then cut. I just like it kind of worked for me. The problem, as you say, ran into like I was doing like a lot of Olympic lifting, like lifting heavy weights. I wasn't concerned at all about like functional movement, and I just like I simultaneously like wrecked my shoulder and like something in my legs.
Oh, dude,
like
the best business in the world is like having like a rehab clinic right next to a CrossFit gym.
Oh my god!
You just have like an endless flow of customers.
I used to do so much CrossFit, and looking back at some of the workout, there's like this workout, I think it was called Cindy, and it was just like, how many cleans can you do in like 60 seconds? And it was just like, a kind of like pretty technical Olympic lift. And people were just like, whoo, 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 whoo. Just like, so obviously I got hurt and do the crazy pull-ups where you're sort of like kipping like Superman.
Terrible.
And like flying through the air and a lot of stuff. And I will say my cardio, and I got pretty big and strong, but like, I feel like I kind of like wrecked my body on top of it. And then I slipped into this paradigm where you are, where I was like, I'm going to be like healthy. Maybe I don't
like,
need
is there like a Goldilocks zone where you like, here's a Goldilocks zone. Like all four of us, including Armand plus Hoffman, like we walked 20 miles on a hike carrying a shitload of weight on our backs. Like we did not need
some of us more than others.
Olympic lifts for that shit. Like we're just capable dudes, and that's cool. Like that's where I want to be. I want to be a guy who's like capable of doing things without having to be like extra big.
Yeah.
I think that's the key.
I mean, Armand and I, this was 6 or 7 years ago, hiked Mount Kilimanjaro, and like in the training for that, we did like increase 1 rep max for squats, and that particularly helped because like, your threshold for when you start to wear out was a lot higher. But I'd say a lot of the training was just like rucking and like putting a bunch of weight on your back and then just climbing up hills all the time. And you don't necessarily need to do hardcore strength training to do that. And I think like, if you want to go to a period where you want to like see how hard you can lift, I think that's great. I think it's great long term. Like most people, one of the biggest causes of death outside of like heart disease and cancer is actually falling. It's a really big cause of mortality. And so, having like strong bone density by weightlifting is super important, but also just going through those movements so that you can actually balance yourself at an older age and like control your movements. If you trip over something and like control your body can actually like, help your longevity.
Speak for yourself, but I am absolutely dying by falling. I have no.
That's the way you're gonna go.
I have no doubt about this.
Can we get you a life alert now?
It's gonna be the dumbest death too. Like I'm just gonna be like walking in my kitchen and then slip and like hit my head on the counter and then I'll be gone. And they're gonna try to like make it look good.
Dude, you'll have us on life alert. We'll be busy, but if you call us. But.
So my question to you guys is like, we've had our peak. Like I think we're probably all past peak, right? We're in our late 30s, mid late 30s. Like, do you think there's like an optimized way to exercise now that like the peak is behind you, where you like you don't need to lift max? Like what does peak optimized performance look like now?
I mean, I think like you've implied easing off in your question a little bit about that. Like, well, we're past our peak. We don't, but I think the more you can work out, the most intensity you can work out, you're just still doing that. And like you can, at 40, 50, 60 years old, still have like, phenomenal athletic performance if you still do that. But I think that kind of, you like acquiesce to your age, that is a trap. And, as you slowly decrease the intensity of your workouts, like so will your body go. And so I'm trying my best not to fall into that trap. I'm trying to like find ways to make it more intense and keep the intensity up. So
you more than anybody are really trying.
I actually don't feel like I feel like I definitely peaked in terms of my potential, but like I've like underutilized my potential so badly throughout my whole life that I feel like I'm actually close to my peak. Like right now, like I can't squat like 300 pounds anymore, but like in terms of overall health as a general picture, I think I'm actually pretty close, which is kind of nice. My main problem now is I feel like I've developed like mild arthritis or something, which is kind of
don't tell that story. You just gotta like avoid it. Just work through the pain. Like you may not be able to like squat 300 pounds, but I think if you can do 100 body squats in a row, that's great. Like that's great. Conditioning. That's like a phenomenal amount of work capacity that you can do in a short period of time. You can clear lactic acid really quickly if you can do that.
That's good. I mean, I hear you telling stories sometimes and I'm just like, Jesus, I'm not like Nick's going to Thailand and doing like weighted jump ropes with like psychotic Muay Thai fighters for like 3-hour sets and climbing Kilimanjaro.
And getting
he's running on like
both
treadmills with like a freaking Bane mask on and like printing like Navy SEAL like VO2 max numbers. I don't even know what that means, but I think like he did it.
Yeah.
But like I have like a totally
highly recommended. We should do an episode where we just go and do the VO2 max.
I don't want the people to see that.
Nick's got the best fitness of all of us, no question about it.
Oh, for sure.
No question.
But like I'm not trying to be max fit. Like I am trying to like 80-20 this shit, like as best as possible.
But this is the 80-20. Like this is the 80-20.
No,
you were doing that
80-20.
You were like,
first of all, I'm Kenny Powers about it. I'm not trying to be the best in fitness. I'm trying to play real sports. So like you guys want to play sports, let's play.
So I would say out of all of us, Eric would win the most in a decathlon. Like if it was like, here's 10 athletic, events, he would win all of them. We had like a Palm Springs like weekend, and we got a big house, a bunch of people, and there was like a basketball, there was a tennis court, there was like a soccer field. We played golf, and like I don't know, we must have done like so much in that time. And he superseded all of us in the decathlon of activities.
With that though, it's not about your fitness levels. It's like how well can you play the games. And that's where I land. I don't care about the
You can't play 10 events if you can't, like, if your cardio sucks. Fact. You got to get it up.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have enough cardio. No question.
I feel like I could take you at like singles pickleball. I think
I would love to see that happen. First of all,
it's my best.
First of all,
I think it's my best shot.
But I would love to see that happen.
I honestly feel like I could. I've played like 7 pickleball matches now, so I feel like I've pretty much solved the entire
0,
game.
So
yeah,
maybe, but
it's
no.
It's not a complicated sport
question.
to trigger all the pickleball fans out there. But like, yeah, I think I got you in that. Maybe do you play golf?
Yes, you beat me at golf.
Yeah,
you would golf too.
I played both of you.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, we're playing on Friday.
I think the three of us,
that's right.
You two are very close, and I'm not close.
Well, it's because your clubs are from 1980, so we were trying to fix that.
I got some new ones.
Yeah.
Wait, I want to get back to this like 80-20 thing.
Yeah.
Because like I'm. What do you do now? Like, what is your routine now? Like, where do you like? Don't give us like your entire routine because it's probably crazy. But like, what do you think like the 80-20 of everything you do is like for in terms of just like your diet, your supplements, your physical activity?
So I think it's mostly in just exercise. So I don't have a trainer anymore because my trainer got YouTube famous. So if you want to look him up on YouTube, just search K Bogues. He's got like 250,000 subscribers now and doesn't train us anymore because
you did that for him. You made that for him.
Yeah. So he has like 5 clients that, worked out at his house, like pretty, private training, but they all happen to have some online marketing skills. Well, guess what happens when he spends 5 hours a day with online marketers? All of a sudden he's got, 250,000 YouTube subscribers. Well, anyway, I've been following his trainer, still follow his conditioning, and he's about work capacity. So it's not about long-term aerobic cardio. It's not about how much you can lift in one time. It's like how much work capacity can you put in a short period of time. So like we would do simple things like pull-ups, push-ups, squats. And so, we would do these ladders where you could, do 80 to 100 pull-ups in 15 minutes by doing these ladders. And, I like those ladder types of exercises because they allow you to see your progress week to week. So you may not finish them all in the first week, but like each week you might add a few more reps, and progress I think is the most important in the workouts. But like that work capacity, you build some strength and you build conditioning, and I think you just build your overall confidence that like, while I haven't run 2 miles in a long time, I know that my work capacity is strong, and that if I had to, I'd probably be fine running a few miles. It would probably hurt afterwards, but like I think that is like a good 80-20. And I guess it's mostly calisthenics based, like not really squatting like heavyweight. I think there's certainly times in life for that. So I don't know, for me, that's the 80-20 workouts 3 times a week times an hour, and then like 2 Muay Thai workouts a week, which are very different, but I think those are good. That's my 80-20 in terms of like exercise.
That's pretty reasonable.
Steven, do you have one, or you want me to go?
Yeah. I mean, I think where I've settled with a lot of stuff, like, so nutrition for me, I tried a million things. I think people do all these like crazy diets, and unless people are just wildly gnarly food allergies like Jordan Peterson or something, you can only eat meat. Like I just feel like for most people, like these extreme diets I don't know, if they're trying to squeeze like 5% out of something through like a lot of like wild complexity. I think the bulk of it, as you kind of alluded to, is like calorie restriction, and don't eat like shitty food, or don't eat like shitty food disguised as good food. Like a lot of people like pound like fruit smoothies, like they're helpful, like they're healthy, and they're just like sucking down like 300 grams of sugar and 1,200 calories, and they're like,
those are carb smoothies, yeah.
Like, so there's obvious leaks like that maybe some people have, or like salads are sneaky. Like people think they're eating salads, and they're like 900 calorie bombs with like all the shitty dressing and stuff on them. But like I think if you just eliminate crap food, you don't eat a lot of sugar. I intermittent fast. It's like the one thing I've stuck with that like I really like for a couple of reasons. The main reason is that it like simplifies my morning. Like I don't have to eat breakfast. I don't have to cook anything. I don't have to worry about food. I just wake up and I drink a coffee, and I'm good to go. And when I started doing it, I felt terrible for like a couple of weeks, but then like it doesn't bother me at all anymore. Like I don't really feel hungry until after lunch. And then my ideal lunch, I don't eat like any carbs. I try to eat like just protein mostly, or just super low glycemic stuff if I have to. And then dinner, I literally just eat whatever I want. Like after that, like I will just any day I'll go to Burger Lounge and crush like two doubles, and then
hell yeah,
or just go out and drink. And I feel like that juxtaposed with like the earlier part of my day, it just sort of balances out. I'm not saying that's like an optimized
Does it
lifestyle.
balance out the 2 drinks of alcohol you have every night?
I think so. I feel like I am remarkably not fat for how much alcohol I drink, because I would guess it's probably like
you look good, man.
It's probably like 40% of the calories I consume on a weekly basis, which isn't super ideal.
I don't know if they have a macro for that in MyFitnessPal. We need to create a new macro for
if you just cut the booze, you're gonna be lean as fuck.
But like I don't optimize for like health really. I like mostly optimize for happiness and like feeling good, which is why like a lot of my workouts have transitioned from me trying to be like huge and just like deadlifting 500 pounds to like not having back pain or stuff like that. It's like kind of the stuff I more care about. I want like a baseline of cardio where I'm not going to get heart disease and die. And I want like a base level of like strength, because I think it's like super useful, but I don't go like super overboard on strength or cardio stuff. And I do focus a lot on like what you might call like boring functional movement. And I probably actually like stretch more than all 3 of you combined, because
absolutely
I've gone through some pretty rough,
so I think
rough times in my
life. Where my
life.
head's at is like it all depends on what your goal is, right? Some people's goal is to like be big, or to be strong, or to be like, just to be jacked. And like Steven's goal might be to be more flexible, and like my goal right now is to just be smaller, right? And
Can you use a different? Can you use a different word for that? It just sounds weird.
It might sound weird, but
being leaner,
like literally
leaner?
all I'm trying to be, and there's like many reasons behind it. But like, for one reason, I need to fit in this goddamn tuxedo that got form fitted in my body for the wedding. So like, I need to fit in this tuxedo. But like, the main reason is just because like, you know, if you're optimizing for something, like I'm trying to optimize for longevity, and in terms of longevity, there's no better correlation than just being smaller.
Yeah, I mean, they've done studies on like the people who are very low calorie diets, and they've done this on mice. They've done, you know, they have studies of humans who like are almost in like calorie restriction or calorie equivalent every day, and they do live the longest, but they tend to be pretty frail towards the end of their life. So I think it's like a balance of, and I think you strike that balance pretty well.
Yeah, and let's be clear, like I'm not trying to be like frail, you know, like I want to be able to like go walk 20 miles with you guys, and I want to go play tennis and do our things. Like I'm not going to sacrifice that, but at the end of the day, like to carry 20 extra pounds on my body just doesn't sound like it's necessary for me, whether that's muscle or fat or whatever. I just don't need it. Yeah. So, you know, my buddy Andrew, who like studied into these like great nutritionists, whatever, he gave me the whole algorithm, and I could like read you the whole algorithm, but like the TLDR is basically just like you operate in a framework where you do a little bit of calorie restriction, and for my body weight, that's like 1900 calories. It ends up being like 11 calories per pound of your body weight or something like that. And then he tells me that to have 40% of those calories be protein, and then it's 40, 30, 30, 40%, 30% carbs, 30% fat.
Yeah.
And if I'm just like restricting calories and having most of the calories be protein, like that is sort of the way to go. And since I've been following him, like, first of all, it was very hard. It was a steep learning curve first to just even track the calories and track the macros. So at first I thought I was like eating some steak with potatoes. And I was like, oh, this must be like this like really protein heavy diet. And it was like this carb heavy thing.
Yeah.
So he just taught me to read it. Once I was reading it, then it became very easy. Like after a month long, just understanding what the diet actually looked like, and then doing a little bit of calorie restriction plus 40, 30, 30, easy.
Yeah. What do you guys think about this? So Peter Attia, he's a good follow if you're interested in like longevity and general health. He has this idea of the centenarian Olympics. So he has these like set of tests that he wants to pass at the age 100, and they're around his lifestyle. So for example, he wants to be able to pick up his grandson. So in order to do that, he needs to do like a deep squat and be able to lift 30 pounds. He also wants to be able to get into a pool and swim. So he needs to do like basically a weighted one, like a lunge in order to get into the pool. He wants to be able to travel when he's 100. So he's going to need to lift like 40 pounds overhead in order to do that. And so he basically like reverse engineered the activities he wants to be able to do when he's 100 and then turn those into tests. And he's essentially like optimizing for those tests. And I kind of like that framework. It seems to make sense. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff you can do on the way, but you ultimately want to be able to do those activities at.
Dude, I think that's beautiful. It's like exactly where my philosophy is going. It's like, I'm not trying to be the most jacked guy or the most fit guy. I'm literally just trying to be useful for as long as I can be. And that fits.
Sounds like exactly the type of thing that is way too much brain power for me to apply to.
One last thing is, anyone notice this podcast has been like hurting your health at all? Like I've noticed it's like really hard to we drink every Wednesday night. It's really hard to like keep down the calories when you add an extra day of drinking every week. And then like, we end super late at night and we end up eating, and eating late is like one of the worst things you could do for your overall health and weight.
See, unlike you, I've been eating late every meal.
You've been training
drinking
for this.
Yeah, I've been training for this moment my whole life. So this podcast has not changed my lifestyle in the slightest in terms of that. It has taken up all of my Wednesdays as I try to, not sound stupid while I'm up here and like read things. So that's been a negative for me. Really cutting into my Wednesday morning golf routine, but
rough.
Other than that, I'm just kidding. That never existed.
No, I actually agree with you. Like, it's much easier to stay on the Andrew Burns diet. Like it's much easier to stay at 1,900 calories with like 40% protein when I'm not just like hammered.
Yeah,
we
might have to do a yerba mate only test where we record on Wednesday and we only drink yerba mate.
I mean, I think we could. Right. I think we could probably drink slightly less.
What is this Puff Bar doing to us? Like, I have no idea.
It's probably the worst thing of all. Definitely cutting life in half.
Yeah, I mean, there have been episodes we've done where by the last episode, some of us have, objectively speaking, been quite lit, whether that's on alcohol or some other substances. And I've noticed at times in the moment, I'm like, this is great, but sometimes I play it back as a casual sober observer, and I'm like, this isn't quite as funny as I remember it being at the time. maybe.
Well, sometimes the relationships are things that keep your longevity going, keep you going in life. So.
Is that your biggest piece of alpha for people?
I mean, if we're talking about longevity, I mean, you need to be able to like move around. You need to be alive.
But what is it? I want to know what is your biggest piece of health alpha for the crowd?
Oh fuck, I don't know. Don't eat so goddamn late. I think that's like the easiest one to do. Like wait, like I don't know. Don't eat 3 hours within going to sleep.
I do that literally every night. I'm not even joking.
We might do that tonight.
Oh, of course I'm doing it tonight. But I probably eat at like 8 p.m. on
Shout
average.
out to Mr. Beastburger, who should probably sponsor our podcast since we basically pound that thing 40%.
I have sold so many Beastburgers via my love of Beastburger.
My whole thing, I think, is like Hoffman-esque. It's like eat less, but eat more protein.
Yeah.
That's good. I feel like I have pretty good alpha as it pertains to back pain, which I know that a lot of people have. I see a lot of people asking about it in the chat in various places from time to time. I think a lot of people think you can fix it by like stretching and getting a chair or like changing your mattress, and that like doesn't work at all. It just doesn't. I've sort of learned that like 80 or 90% of the cause of that pain is like due to like muscle imbalances. For example, like a lot of people who just sit a lot have like a really tight psoas, and like muscles like their glutes, for example, get super, super weak. And like if you just train a couple of weird muscles that you might not be thinking about a little bit every week, like you probably get rid of all of it. Honestly, that was like a huge unlock for me. I spent years like trying to stretch and get massages constantly and chiropractic, and I just had to like do some Bulgarian split squats and a couple weird like shoulder exercises, and I was like, oh, I feel so much better.
Meanwhile, like our new production manager Sly is just laughing at us, like probably like 8% body fat, can run 10 miles, just laughing at us this whole time.
He's just laughing at us with his bussin' haircut and his good
Sly's gonna make an appearance soon enough.
You
for
old
sure.
Fuckers, you can't even walk.
These guys are a joke. All right, boys. Anywhere else? Any last things on this? This is a fun little, just personal story, I guess. Podcast. Enjoyed it.
No, sounds good, guys. Love you guys.
All right.
Love you too.
Talk to you soon. Bye.